From the Russia-Ukraine front, Russia has accused Ukraine of terrorism over its escalating attacks on the shipping in the Sea of Azov. And this comes as Ukrainian drones hit 11 Russian vessels in the Sea of Azov overnight, with reports suggesting shipping in the sea remains restricted since the 10th of July. There's more on that front. Let's start with the headlines first. This is World DNA.
Kuwait says its air defenses intercepted Iranian attack drones, while Bahrain activates air raid sirens and urges residents to seek shelters after fresh US strikes in Iran. Both Gulf states heighten security amid escalating tensions.
US forces strike Iran for a fourth day, targeting areas near Bandar Abbas and Qasem Island. CENTCOM confirms the strikes, and a newly reimposed naval blockade aims to stop Iranian attacks on commercial shipping in the Hormuz Strait.
We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they get to the table and negotiate.
Donald Trump threatens to expand US airstrikes next week to destroy Iran's power plants and bridges unless they negotiate. This follows a collapse of a ceasefire over control of the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran's state media releases footage showing drones attacking US Azraq base in Jordan, as Tehran says that it launched a seventh wave of drone strikes targeting the base, claiming that it hit F-18 positions, accommodation, buildings and equipment hangars.
Axios reports Donald Trump told Israeli Prime Minister to withdraw troops from Lebanon and Syria, warning that IDF presence in Syrian territory causes tension, telling Netanyahu they do not want you there, you should redeploy.
Ukraine says Russian attacks on 3 merchant grain ships in the Black Sea and Odessa region killed 3 people, including a captain. A drone strikes a Marshall Islands flagged ship, while 2 other vessels are hit along export corridors.
Cuba suffers a third nationwide blackout in less than 10 days after its power grid collapsed. The cause remains unknown, while fuel shortages continue to slow restoration efforts amid island's worsening economic crisis under US pressure.
Americans could soon face gasoline prices above $4 a gallon as rising tensions between US and Iran disrupt global oil supplies yet again. Analysts warn higher fuel costs could add to inflation pressures and strain household budgets.
And Spain advanced to the World Cup final by defeating France 2-0, ending the 2-time champions' title hopes. Mikel Oyarzabal and Pedro Porro scored for Spain, who will face either England or Argentina in the final match.
All right, let's start with the updates coming in from West Asia. For now, US President Donald Trump has warned that he would broaden military strikes on Iran in the coming week. And this is if Tehran fails to reach a deal.
Well, he identified power grids and bridges as potential targets, And this as US launched strikes against Iran for the fourth consecutive day. US Central Command said that the latest round was aimed at degrading Iranian capabilities used to attack commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. The strikes came as US blockade on Iranian ports came into effect.
Iranian state media reported explosions near the port city of Bandar Abbas on the Gulf island of Qashm near the Strait of Hormuz and other locations. State news agency IRNA later said that Iranian forces launched a drone attack on a military base in Jordan that hosts American warplanes. Jordanian army had previously said that it had shot down 4 missiles from Iran.
Explosions were also heard in Kuwait as the Gulf nation's army said that it was intercepting hostile projectiles. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have warned that attacks will continue unless their final victory.
Fearing strikes on Israeli territory, the Israeli Prime Minister has warned Iran that Israel would deliver a heavy blow if it is attacked. And these strikes and counter-strikes come as Trump said that he was scrapping a planned levy on ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz that he announced just a day ago, replacing the fee with trade deals with the Gulf instead.
I was called by different people, different countries, kings and emirs and all of the people that we all know and we all love, and they've been very strong partners. And they said, we'd love to do it a different way. We'd love to invest in the United States with billions and billions of dollars and continue our record setting, because there's never been a time like this with the United States, with the factories, with the plants, with everything else. And we would like to invest tremendously in the United States as opposed to charging a fee.
Well, Iran has responded with the country's deputy foreign minister saying that the US decision to renew the blockade has in a way dismantled the Islamabad memorandum. Admiral Brad Cooper, who is the head of CENTCOM, said in a statement on Tuesday that over the past 1 week, Iran had intentionally targeted civilian areas across the region by attacking as many as 7 commercial ships that resulted in nearly a dozen civilian crew members killed, missing or injured.
Now, just yesterday, according to the International Maritime Organization, Iran hit 2 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, killing 2 crew members. Kuwait said that one of its naval vessels was struck during an Iranian missile and drone barrage, wounding 4 crew members.
United Nations, meanwhile, has condemned the return of wider hostilities, calling it a huge setback for civilians in the region and beyond. And getting us the latest on Iran-US tensions is our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who sent us this report from Vancouver.
The United States has carried out more strikes against Iran and begun a blockade of Iranian ports. The focus is now shifting from the latest exchange of strikes to how far President Trump is prepared to take this conflict. In an interview with Fox News, he did not rule out deploying ground troops, even as Washington says its immediate objective is to protect commercial shipping and weaken Iran's ability to threaten the Strait of Hormuz. But analysts warn that airstrikes and a naval blockade may not be enough to secure the waterway permanently. A ground operation would dramatically raise the risk of American casualties in a wider regional war. The key question is whether this military pressure forces Iran back to the negotiating table or locks both sides into a longer and far more costly confrontation. Susan Tehrani reporting from Vancouver for WION World is One.
Now, Yemen's Houthi rebels say that they shot down a Saudi-operated reconnaissance drone in the latest escalation of tensions with Saudi Arabia.
Now, the development comes as the United Nations Security Council extended monitoring of Houthi attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. According to the Houthi military spokesperson Yahya Sari, the group downed a Saudi Wing Lung 2 reconnaissance aircraft while it was carrying out hostile missions over Yemen's Al-Baida governorate. Now, this announcement, it's coming from the Houthi side. It comes a day after the Houthis accused Saudi Arabia of targeting Sana'a International Airport and launched retaliatory strikes against a Saudi airport. Now, the Saudi-backed Yemeni government has said that its operation was intended to prevent an Iranian aircraft from landing in the rebel-held territory, as there has been an 11-year blockade enforced by Saudi Arabia on any Iranian aircraft landing in Sana'a International Airport.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council has voted to extend the Secretary General's monthly reporting requirement on Houthi attacks against merchant and commercial vessels in the Red Sea. This resolution was adopted with 13 votes in favor, while China and Russia abstained.
Colleagues, this is what is crystal clear today, that the Houthis, a declared terrorist organization, are Tehran's acolytes. They have studied the IRGC playbook. So if Iran is willing to threaten the Strait of Hormuz, how long before the Houthis decide to once again mirror their benefactor, their mentors, their idols in Tehran and try to shut down the Red Sea? They've already threatened to do it.
Following the vote, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, warned that the Houthis were acting as Iran's proxy and could threaten shipping through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, another critical global maritime route, and urged member states to strengthen enforcement of the United Nations arms embargo on the Houthis, that would be by intercepting weapon components and dual-use technology.
However, China's Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations, Sun Lei, rejected the U.S. allegations and criticized Washington's role in the region.
It is the United States that has obstructed the efforts of the Council to secure a ceasefire, allowing the conflict in Gaza to spill over and causing the situation in the Red Sea to escalate.
And Russian attacks on a merchant ship in southern Ukraine and 2 others in the Black Sea have killed 3 people.
Well, this includes a captain and one of the 2 merchant ships that were struck earlier. According to the head of the region's military administration, Russia launched a new attack on port infrastructure in the Odessa region. During the attack, a drone struck a civilian ship flying the flag of the Marshall Islands that resulted in fire and killed 2 people on board. In fact, he'd earlier said that 2 Tanzanian and Liberian flagged merchant ships had also been hit that killed the captain of the ship and wounded 3 others. This incident had prompted evacuation of the remaining 11 crew members as well.
Now, Kepa said that the ships targeted in the Black Sea were sailing along corridors designated for the export of Ukrainian grain. He further adds that Russia was targeting against peaceful populations, civilian shipping, and global food security, and termed it a war crime. The attack came after drones operated by the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces targeted 116 Russian vessels in the Sea of Azov over the past 9 days. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has accused Ukraine of attacking commercial vessels in the Sea of Azov and in the Black Sea in what he called acts of terrorism.
What the Ukrainian regime is doing goes beyond even piracy. Pirates at least plunder and keep the spoils for themselves. But here, it benefits neither them nor anyone else. The goal is simply to cause damage and intimidate. It is terrorism, pure and simple. By the way, this happens in the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea, but also on the African continent.
On Tuesday, Ukraine's Air Force intercepted 5 ballistic missiles launched by Russia, although other missiles and drones got through and hit warehouses and a school in capital Kiev. It was also the first time in almost 2 weeks that Ukraine said it had downed Russian ballistic missiles, which are harder to stop than drones or even cruise missiles.
Now, amidst these developments, Ukrainian President Zelensky was in Paris as the guest of honor for France's Bastille Day parade, which was held a day after Macron hosted a new summit of Ukraine's allies. Around 500 soldiers from the coalition of the willing, mainly comprising of European nations, supporting Ukraine, they marched symbolically, while 25 Ukrainian soldiers also followed the troops of the coalition members.
Under the new agreements formalized by Kiev and Paris, Ukraine will use a European loan facility to buy next-generation Franco-Italian air defense systems and French Rafale fighter jets, while also securing approval to produce key Western missiles domestically.
Well, Ukraine would order an initial 16 Rafale aircraft, the first tranche of a planned fleet of 100 announced in November last year, financed through the European Union's Ukraine Support Loan Program. Previously, Zelensky announced that Ukraine is joining with 9 other nations to form a coalition that will build a shared ballistic missile shield for Europe.
We agreed earlier this afternoon with President Zelensky on a roadmap between our two countries, implementing the bilateral cooperation measures agreed upon in principle last November. This covers air defense, specifically Ukraine's acquisition of an initial batch of next-generation SAM-PT batteries to complement the systems and missiles due for delivery in the coming weeks, and the modernization of the Ukrainian fighter fleet, involving the planned acquisition of 16 Rafale jets and their associated weapon systems.
After months of repairs, one of the world's most historic space launch pads is back in action.
And its return has delivered a powerful reminder that even amid geopolitical rivalries, space, it still remains one of the few frontiers where international cooperation continues to survive even now. Russia has successfully launched 2 cosmonauts and an American astronaut to the International Space Station aboard the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The mission marks the resumption of crewed flights from Site 31, which is a launch pad that was severely damaged during a previous Soyuz mission and had remained out of service for months.
On board are first-time NASA astronaut Anil Menon, who is of Indian origin, along with Russian cosmonauts Pyotr Dubrov and Anna Kikina. The trio is headed to the International Space Station, where they will spend around 8 months as part of Expedition 75. The mission also carries a strong diplomatic message. NASA administration Jed Isaacman traveled to Baikonur to witness the launch and hold talks with Roscosmos chief, making it the first visit by NASA chief to the Cosmodrome since 2018.
Despite years of strain in the US-Russia relations following the war in Ukraine, the International Space Station, it continues to stand as a rare example of scientific partnership enduring well above political divides. As the Soyuz spacecraft begins its journey to the orbiting laboratory, the mission serves as another reminder that when it comes to exploring space, cooperation can still rise above conflict. An invisible danger above our heads is growing every second. It cannot be seen from Earth, at least not yet.
Well, it carries no warning lights, yet it has the power to cripple the satellites modern civilization depends on. In fact, scientists now say that space is developing a dangerous minefield. Take a look at this report.
Every second, the modern world relies on a silent network operating hundreds of miles above our heads. It powers our navigation, secures global communications, and monitors national security threats. That Insta-reel we watch or the WhatsApp message we send, everything is linked via the satellites. Thousands of kilometers above Earth, countless pieces of metal are racing through space at speeds of more than 25,000 kilometers an hour. Most are no bigger than a bolt, a paint chip, or a broken panel. But at those speeds, even a fragment the size of a coin can punch through a satellite like a bullet. Scientists have now identified a vast cloud of space debris in one of the busiest orbital highways around Earth. This region is home to many of the world's most valuable satellites. The debris comes from decades of rocket launches, satellite breakups, accidental collisions, and anti-satellite weapon tests. Every new collision creates even more fragments, making space increasingly crowded. The greatest fear is something known as the Kessler syndrome. This is basically a chain reaction. One satellite crashes into another. That collision creates thousands of new pieces of debris. Those fragments then hit more satellites, creating even more debris. The process repeats until entire orbital regions become too dangerous for spacecraft. The timing could not be more critical. From America's SpaceX to Chinese companies to India's ISRO, all are launching satellites at record pace. Mega constellations containing thousands of spacecraft are rapidly filling Earth's orbit. That means there are now more valuable targets than ever before. Space is no longer empty. It is becoming crowded. And every new launch adds to the challenge of avoiding the invisible debris already circling the planet. The next great space race may not be about reaching Mars. It may be about cleaning up the mess surrounding Earth before it becomes impossible to escape. Bureau Report, WION World is one.
All right, quickly shifting focus to breaking inputs that are just trickling in. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have claimed to have attacked Kuwait's Mina Abdullah refinery. The announcement comes as the Kuwaiti army says that its air defenses are intercepting hostile drones, following what it described as criminal Iranian aggression.
Iran has said that the attacks on the countries in the Gulf will continue until final victory. That's the latest statement coming in from Iran. Earlier, the IRGC had said that it targeted US positions in Jordan's Azraq base. The fresh escalation comes in the backdrop of a dispute over the control of the vital waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. In the latest, the IRGC has said that this strategic waterway will remain closed until US ends acts of aggression. The US blockade on Iranian ports came into effect earlier, just recently. And this is what is the latest we're tracking for you as of now. The Gulf remains engulfed in hostilities. Iran's Revolutionary Guards claim to have attacked Kuwait's Mina Abdullah refinery, and the announcement comes as the Kuwaiti army says that its air defenses are intercepting hostile drones following what it described as criminal Iranian aggression. Multiple countries across the Gulf have been sustaining repeated attacks. It's not just Kuwait, it's also Bahrain, it's also UAE. Even days earlier, it was Qatar, Jordan, Oman, and the hostilities have been continuing consecutively since the last 4 days, with the US continuing to target Iranian sites and Iran then targeting the Gulf countries.
Well, this comes even as President Trump had threatened to expand US airstrikes next week to destroy Iran's power plants and even bridges unless they negotiate. So the attacks that continue and these strikes and counter-strikes continuing. The latest statement coming in from the IRGC saying that it has targeted US positions in these regions. On to FIFA highlights then. Looks like the ghosts of 2010 have returned for Spain. The European champions have qualified for FIFA World Cup final for the first time in 16 years.
Well, they defeated France 2-0 in the semi-final of the FIFA World Cup 2026. French fans in Dallas had tears rolling down their cheeks as Spain inflicted a pain that ran deep in the heart of France. The Les Bleus dominated oppositions in this year's World Cup with some fiery and feisty attacking football. However, the two-time former world champions finally met their match in Spain, whose cohesive defensive left the French attack completely clueless.
Well, Spain stung France early with a dagger as French left-back Lucas Digne made a reckless challenge on Spain winger Lamine Yamal that resulted in a penalty. Spain's Mikel Oyarzabal took the penalty and opened the account in the 22nd minute by hammering the ball past the French goalkeeper. The 2018 World Champions were trailing behind for the first time in this year's World Cup. The damage did not just end there for the Les Bleus.
In the second half, France were left reeling once again after Spain's defender Pedro Porro turned into a destroyer by scoring the second goal in the 58th minute. Porro burst onto the French penalty box like a prisoner attempting a jailbreak and sprinted onto a superb layoff from teammate Dani Olmo. Following this, the 26-year-old steadied himself to guide the ball in the back of the net. In the last 30 minutes of the game, the French threw everything they had but the Spanish defense did not budge, not even an inch. France's three-headed monster, Kylian Mbappe, Michael Olise and Ousmane Dembele were not just tamed but was slayed by the impenetrable Spanish defense. The attacking trio were left with no answers and were unable to tackle, and they were unable to take France to what would have been a third World Cup final on the trot. Spain has conceded a goal only once in this year's World Cup so far. Their strong defensive play shows that on their best day, they could make the strongest of teams look weaker. The Spaniards have now made it to their second World Cup final since 2010, and they have done so in the presence of Spain's 2010 World Cup winning squad. Spain will next play Argentina, or they could play England in the final of the FIFA World Cup on Sunday, while France will play in the third place playoff. This is going to happen on Saturday.
And for now, we head into a very short break on Bold DNA. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. More than 200,000 civilian homes have been destroyed. This looks like it used to be a toy for a little girl. Can't but wonder while I'm walking between all of this rubble, how many lives were destroyed, how many kids were traumatized, how many women lost their families. If this isn't a war crime, then what is? From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION, World is One. Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Samiksha. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss on this side of the show. Let's start with the headlines.
President Donald Trump says strikes on Iran will continue until he says it's enough, warns military action would intensify and target key infrastructure next week if Tehran fails to reach an agreement.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian rejects US President Donald Trump's rude language, vowing Iran would retaliate and defend its territory, while urging national unity after fresh US strikes and escalating regional tensions.
Kuwait says its air defenses intercepted Iranian attack drones, while Bahrain activates air raid sirens and urges residents to seek shelter after fresh US strikes on Iran. Both Gulf states heighten security amid escalating tensions.
Iranian state media releases footage showing drones attacking US Azraq base in Jordan, as Tehran says that it launched a seventh wave of drone strikes targeting the base, claiming it hit F-18 positions, accommodation buildings and equipment hangars. Israel's parliament passes a law suspending the arrest of ultra-Orthodox Jewish students who refuse military service despite criticism from the opposition and ongoing military manpower shortages.
WHO launches first clinical trial to test antiviral drug Obeldesivir in people exposed to strain of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo, aiming to prevent infection after exposure.
Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Warsh heads to Congress as he signals a cautious step away from President Trump's calls for lower interest rates. Warsh is expected to emphasize the Fed's independence while keeping the focus on controlling inflation.
And from the world of sports, Spain advanced to the World Cup final by defeating France 2-0, ending the two-time champions' title hopes. Mikel Oyarzabal and Pedro Porro scored for Spain, who will face either England or Argentina in the final match. Our top focus this hour, Islamabad is facing strong resistance in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
Addressing a massive gathering in Rawalakot, a leading figure of the movement has ripped apart Pakistan's claims on occupied parts of Jammu and Kashmir. The remarks were made by Sardar Aman Khan. He is one of the prominent leaders of the ongoing protest movement in POK. Aman Khan rejected Pakistan's official description of the region. He said POK is neither independent nor a disputed territory. It is an occupied territory. The statement was met with a loud applause from thousands of people as they voiced their support.
ये एक मुतनाज़ा इलाका है, लेकिन ये मुतनाज़ा नहीं है, ये मकबूजा इलाका है, ये मकबूजा इलाका, इस पर कब्जा है, इस पर शहरी कब्जा है, ये एक मुतनाज़ा इलाका है।
The speech comes as public agitation in Rawala court has continued for more than 40 days, with demonstrations taking place on day-to-day basis, drawing large crowds.
Aman Khan's comments are being seen as a direct challenge to Pakistan's decades-long narrative, which falsely describes the region as free Kashmir. Now, the rally is the latest sign of growing public mobilization in the region, where the protest movement has continued to gain visibility through a number of weeks now. Whether these developments lead to any political response from Islamabad, that remains to be seen, but the public remarks have only added a new dimension to the ongoing unrest in the region.
Well, amid crackdown on peaceful protesters in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, India has urged the international community to hold Pakistan fully accountable for its abuses and misdeeds in the region.
The ongoing protests in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir are a direct consequence of Pakistan's decades-long systemic exploitation, denial of fundamental rights and administrative oppression in areas under its illegal and forcible occupation. Rather than addressing the legitimate grievances of the local population, the Pakistani state has responded with excessive police brutality.
All right, viewers, more developments coming in from West Asia. US has announced the completion of the fresh round of strikes against Iran. In a statement, the US Central Command has said that it hit dozens of military targets near the Strait of Hormuz and Iranian coastal areas.
According to CENTCOM, US fighter aircraft, drones and naval vessels launched precision munitions against Iranian missile and drone sites, naval capabilities as well as coastal defense systems during the 7-hour wave, which it said aimed to degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping and civilian crews.
Iran is striking US bases and assets in the Gulf countries. In the latest, Iran's Revolutionary Guards said that they struck facilities used by the US 5th Fleet in Bahrain. Now, this is a region which has been repeatedly attacked by Iran over the course of the last 4+ months since the time this war has started. Countries across the Gulf are taking repeated fire as hostilities between US and Iran are now taking place on a daily basis, consecutively since the last 4+ days.
Now, China's foreign ministry has rejected US claims that Chinese-born American seismologist Yulin Chen has been wrongfully detained.
They're saying that the case is being handled according to Chinese law. Chen, a US citizen and expert in detecting North Korean nuclear tests, has been held in China for nearly 2 years and faces espionage charges. Washington recently designated him as wrongfully detained, while his family and rights groups have raised concerns over his treatment in custody. Beijing, however, has denied the claims, saying Chinese judicial authorities are handling the case legally.
The seismologist was detained in November 2024 by state security agents. It was during a personal trip to visit his parents in Beijing. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has designated Chen as wrongful detainee in the month of March.
Now, if not resolved, Chen's case could figure prominently when Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to meet Donald Trump in Washington in September. Now, here's a what-if scenario. What if one of America's closest allies has become the den for Russian spies?
Well, that is because a New York Times investigation has alleged that Russia has turned Japan into a key hub for espionage, covert procurement and the sourcing of critical technology for the Russia-Ukraine war.
Now, these revelations have led to the Japanese government acknowledging that it must urgently strengthen its intelligence and counter-espionage capabilities. Japan's chief government spokesperson said that the country faces a rapidly changing security environment and it must do more to prevent foreign operatives from acquiring sensitive information that threatens national security. He said Tokyo must address the challenge with greater rigor.
The spokesperson also noted that Japan's parliament has approved legislation to establish a new national body that will coordinate the country's fragmented intel system.
Japan has long relied on multiple agencies rather than a single foreign intelligence service. According to the reports, post-Second World War, legal constraints have left Japan with comparatively weak espionage laws, making it vulnerable to foreign intelligence operations. Tokyo is now moving towards forming a more centralized intelligence structure.
Citing Ukrainian government estimates, around 90% of Russian missiles and drones reportedly contain Japanese-made components. It even highlighted an investigation into the wreckage of a Russian Kh-101 cruise missile that struck a residential building in Kiev in the month of May, where investigators reportedly recovered Japanese components despite export restrictions.
Now, the investigation further alleged that Russia's operations in Japan are directed by an intelligence officer operating undercover at the Tokyo office of the state-owned airline Aeroflot. It said that a secretive Russian military intelligence unit known as the 20th Directorate uses officers posing as diplomats and businessmen to obtain or steal battlefield technology. According to the report, procurement networks bypass export controls by routing microchips, transmitters, machinery used to manufacture weapons and other components through intermediary companies and third countries, including Vietnam, Uzbekistan, and Sri Lanka.
And this is not an isolated case. As per reports, Moscow has been using countries like Turkey, China, Kazakhstan, and even Germany as third-party countries to procure key arms and technology to bypass restrictions.
And according to reports, after hundreds of Russian intelligence operatives were expelled from Europe and North America following the commencement of the Russia-Ukraine war back in 2022, many allegedly shifted their operations to Japan. So it started as far back as 2022, allowing Moscow to rebuild procurement and intelligence networks from Japanese territory.
Tributes continue to pour in for Shri Nand Kishore Goenka, the philanthropist and visionary who passed away in Mumbai on Monday.
The patriarch of the SL Group family, who breathed his last peacefully at the age of 96.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi showered rich praise in his personal letter on Shri Nand Kishore Goenka's blessed life filled with selfless public service. PM Modi penned a touching condolence letter to SL Group chairman and former lawmaker Dr. Subhash Chandra, paying condolences for the loss of his father. In his letter, PM wrote, and I quote, "He not only strengthened business traditions but also fulfilled his responsibilities towards society with sincerity. His service to the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, his organizational spirit and his commitment to the principle of nation first made his life an example of simplicity and public welfare." Born on September 28, 1930, Shri Nand Kishore Goenka decided to devote his life to the grassroots social transformation of the society. Being a committed Swayamsevak of RSS, he spent years of his life organizing social events and promoting social harmony among people. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, in a post on X, expressed grief over Shri Goenka's demise and lauded his efforts for social work and cow welfare. People from all across thronged his ancestral home in Hisar to pay their last respects to the great philanthropist and visionary. The mortal remains of Sri Goenka was brought from Mumbai to his hometown in Hisar on Tuesday. His last rites will be performed on Wednesday. The final rites will take place at Goenka Garden in Agroha Dham. Sri Nandkishore Goenka's life was defined by strong values, humility, compassion and unwavering dedication to serve the society. Through his quiet acts of generosity and dedication to community welfare, he touched the lives of many.
The world has crossed a demographic line that it now can't uncross. In this next report, we look at how the global working age population is leveling off, and in dozens of economies, it's already shrinking. Take a look.
The worker shortage era is here, and it isn't just a forecast anymore. The OECD says its members' working age population will fall 8% by 2060. With pension and health spending rising 3% of the GDP across member states. The World Employment Confederation projects that by 2040, 4 in 5 countries will see slower workforce growth and 3 in 10 will see outright decline. Only a handful of economies like the United States, India, Indonesia and parts of Africa buck the trend. Japan is the sharpest case study. Recruit Works Institute projects a shortfall of roughly 11 million workers by 2040, hitting caregiving, transport, construction and food service hardest. More importantly, these sectors can't be offshored, yet Tokyo's response is contradictory. It's expanding visa quotas to around 1.23 million foreign workers through fiscal 2028, while simultaneously raising the bar elsewhere. The business manager visa now requires 6-fold jump in capital investment to 30 million yen, plus Japanese language proficiency. Openness and restriction running side by side is the challenge. That's forcing the second lever, automation. South Korea already runs the world's highest robot density at 1,220 robots per 10,000 employees, growing 7% annually since 2019. Japan sits at 419 and Germany at 449. And Japan's aging profile with 30% of the population over 65 by 2030 is a structural driver of automation demand unlike anywhere else. The politics are shifting too. Migration debates are moving from they take our jobs to who fills them. That is a reframe already visible in European attitudes towards migrants. The choice aging economies face isn't ideological anymore. It's arithmetic: bring in people, deploy machines or shrink the economy. Most are trying to do the first two at once, awkwardly. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.
Well, New York has become the first US state to halt the construction of large new data centers.
They've imposed a one-year moratorium as concerns grow over the impact of AI infrastructure on electricity bills, water resources, and even local communities. The moratorium applies to new data centers that require 50 megawatts or more of electricity During the one-year pause, the state's Department of Environmental Conservation will not issue new discretionary permits for large projects that have not already completed the approval process.
New York governor has said that the state must act before rapid data center expansion drives up utility bills, depletes natural resources, and creates long-term uncertainty for residents. During the moratorium, state officials will prepare a generic environmental impact statement to assess the effect of data centers on power grids, water supplies, the environment, and local communities at large. The review will also establish consistent standards for future data center developments across the state. The ban will be lifted once those standards have been finalized.
Well, the move comes as states across the US debate how to manage the rapid expansion of AI data centers. New York lawmakers have also passed a bill to introduce new safeguards for data centers, although it has yet to be signed into law.
A recent Reuters and Ipsos poll has found only 1 in 3 Americans supports the current pace of data center construction, and most people would oppose having one built in their own community. New York is now the first US state to impose a full moratorium on large data center projects.
Well, the table tennis Olympic champion Fan Zhendong is set to try his hand at commentary, but he won't be analysing table tennis. He will be commentating on the FIFA World Cup final.
Well, Fan Zhendong, who is the reigning Olympic champion from China, is set to make his debut as commentator for the FIFA World Cup. A Chinese sports platform, Migu, will be hosting the table tennis superstar during the final of the World Cup on Sunday. The news has initially been made public by Chinese football commentator Zhang Jun, who announced that he would be providing commentary alongside Fan. The post by Zhang has since been deleted and an official announcement is yet to be made. However, the news has since exploded on Weibo, which is a social media platform in China that suggests viewership to skyrocket if Fan does indeed come on the World Cup final broadcast.
Fan is the reigning men's singles Olympic champion. He is also only the 6th male player to achieve a Grand Slam in table tennis, winning the World Championship twice and World Cup 4 times. Fan is a well-known football fan and supports Real Madrid. He has previously made a similar guest appearance for a Premier League game back in 2024.
Now, England and Argentina renew their old and complex rivalry in Atlanta.
The tense relations between the two countries is also the basis for a FIFA rule for referees. Let's take a look. FIFA states that officials are not allowed to referee matches involving their own countries to prevent conflicts of interest and maintain impartiality. And that rule applies for every nation.
But geopolitical factors are also considered when assigning matches to referees. Now, because of England's political history with Argentina and the legacy of the 1982 war, English referees are not allowed to officiate in matches involving Argentina and vice versa.
So English referees Michael Oliver and Anthony Taylor will no longer officiate in the World Cup, and that will be the case for Argentine referee Facundo Tello as well. All right, viewers, that's a wrap on this edition of World DNA. We are going to slip into a very short break. But before that, here's a quick look at images drawing attention from around the world. Stay with us.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. More than 200,000 civilian homes have been destroyed. This looks like it used to be a toy for a little girl. Can't but wonder while I'm walking between all of this rubble, how many lives were destroyed, how many kids were traumatized, how many women lost their families. If this isn't a war crime, then what is? From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.
Get the latest updates. Breaking news. Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One.
Hello and welcome back to WION World is One. I'm Kanishka Sarkar and this is Speed News. Let's get started with all the stories that are making headlines at this hour. US forces strike Iran for a fourth day, targeting areas near Bandar Abbas and Qashm Island. US Central Command says the operations are aimed at reducing Iran's capability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz as Washington reinstates a naval blockade on Iranian ports. The escalation comes amid continued hostilities between US and Iran, with the strategic waterway remaining a key flashpoint for global energy and shipping security. US President Donald Trump has threatened to expand American airstrikes against Iran next week, warning that power plants and bridges could be targeted if Tehran does not return to negotiations. The warning comes after the collapse of a ceasefire agreement with tensions escalating over control of the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Trump said US would continue pressure on Iran unless talks resume. Iranian state media has released footage it claims shows a wave of drone launches targeting US positions at the Azraq airbase in Jordan. The footage released by Iran's Arab on Tuesday was set to show multiple drones being launched as part of an operation against US positions at the base. The development comes as tensions between US and Tehran escalate, with the US President Donald Trump reinstating a naval blockade of Iranian ports and warning of further strikes if negotiations do not resume. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps say they have targeted facilities used by the US Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Iranian state media reported that the attacks targeted command and control facilities, military equipment, storage areas, and fuel depots linked to the US naval presence. The claim came after US strikes on Iranian territory as tensions between US and Tehran continue to escalate across the region. US President Donald Trump has urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to withdraw Israeli forces from parts of Lebanon and Syria, according to a report by Axios. The report says Trump warned that the Israel Defense Forces present in Syrian territory were creating tensions and advised Netanyahu to redeploy troops. The comments come amid continued regional uncertainty and diplomatic efforts to reduce escalation in West Asia. Three people have been killed after Russian attacks targeted merchant ships in southern Ukraine and the Black Sea, according to local authorities. Odessa region governor said that a drone strike hit a civilian ship flying the Marshall Islands flag, causing a fire and killing 2 crew members. He said earlier attacks on Tanzanian and Liberian flagged vessels killed a ship captain and injured 3 others, with the remaining crew evacuated. The governor accused Russia of targeting civilian shipping and threatening global food security, calling the strikes a war crime. The attacks followed Ukrainian claims of strikes on Russian vessels in the Sea of Azov, while Moscow has accused Kyiv of terrorism against commercial shipping. The US House of Representatives overwhelmingly voted on Tuesday to pass a bill making daylight saving time permanent and ending the twice-yearly practice of changing clocks that has been observed across most of the United States since the 1960s. 308 to 117 votes sent the bill to the Senate. If enacted, clocks would no longer return to standard time in November, though states could opt out of the year-round daylight saving time. One person has died and 2 others remain missing after a 3-deck pontoon boat caught fire and capsized near the Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay. Authorities say the vessel was carrying 19 people when it caught fire about 600 yards off the island, sparking a large search and rescue operation. 13 people were brought safely to shore, while 3 others were taken to a hospital for treatment. San Francisco Fire Department, Coast Guard, and local police agencies continue the search for the missing passengers as investigations into the cause of the fire begin. Humanitarian aid from the United States has arrived in earthquake-hit areas of Venezuela, with supplies transported by amphibious vehicles to reach affected communities. In La Guaira, residents lined up to receive food and essential household items distributed by Global Empowerment Mission, a US-based disaster relief organization. The aid effort is supporting families impacted by the earthquakes as recovery operations continue in the region. Darlene Graham Nordon, the sister of deceased Senator Lindsey Graham, has been formally sworn in to temporarily fill the South Carolina Senate seat he held for more than 23 years. Republican Governor Henry McCamster appointed Nordon to hold the Senate seat until early January following Graham's death. The appointment allows Republicans to maintain their 53-47 majority in the Senate as lawmakers return to address key defense and national security issues.